preview.
Knock, knock. Who's there? The moon. It's far away. You were alone the whole time.
Minions have spawned.
Alright, so Diana is an ability power based champion. Her first skill is Crescent Strike, and it hits every enemy that on its way with a really large amount of damage. Her next skill, which I have no idea how to pronounce, shields her and deals damage to each enemy nearby which got hit by these balls surrounding her. Yeah.
Dusk approaches.
Now we got Moonfall, which slows all the enemies in her area and knocking them towards her. Her ulti, which I find the best so far, teleports her to her enemy in a really large distance, dealing some damage, though she can use it every 20 seconds, so that's pretty cool. But if she uses it on someone she hit before, it will cool down immediately. Her passive grants her basic attacks to deal extra damage every 3 hits, so you can build her as AD carry, I guess. And that makes her really good at minion farming. That's pretty much it, so here is the gameplay itself. Have fun and knock yourself out.
Turn back.
Enemy rampage.
I will be heard.
Enemy has been slain.
Deny me no.
An ally has been slain.
They would not listen.
Enemy has been slain. Your team has destroyed a turret.
Only truth.
Slain an enemy. Slain an enemy.
Alright, that was it guys, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit the like button. If you want more, just subscribe, and yep, see you later.
Right to Diana. For solo queue, I think Diana is best picked if they have a lot of squishies, because she can easily just burn down the backline. If you land a Q, you can pretty much one-shot any carry if you get a couple of auto attacks on them. She also is really good if they have weak split pushing champions, so you can just split push the entire game, and if anyone comes up, you can instantly beat them 1v1 or even 1v2. But Diana is really solid overall in solo queue, and it's really up to player skill how good she'll be. I think she's a really high skill kept champion. Diana's early laning is obviously not very good, but if you have an easy matchup and they have a weak early game jungler, you can definitely walk up and push instantly. But generally I recommend just pulling back, and once you have about 500 or 600 gold, you can recall TP back in lane, get a bunch of pots and wards. It's really going to help you out with the early laning phase. But overall, Diana does have a pretty weak laning phase, and in 1v1 you're going to be weaker most of the time since you do have teleport. So make sure you don't fight unless you have an item or health advantage. For later on the lane where you get around like level 9, level 7, even your level 6 spikes, you can look for trades and you can even look for roams. Diana becomes really strong once you get some items. The most optimal way for Diana to start a team fight is either walking from the back on a flank or being able to use your teleport to flank on their carries. Diana doesn't really do that well on a full frontal fight 5v5. She really wants to come from the side or from the back and go onto one of the carries and do damage and be a distraction using her Zanya. So on Diana, either if you don't have the optimal team fight, I recommend not going for a team fight unless you get some sort of hard engage from someone else, or otherwise you just want to be split pushing and gaining pressure on the side lane. Once you get some cooldown reduction in lane, a good tip you can do for trade is to queue the backline minions and start walking back, and as they're walking up to the backline minions, you can jump on that minion and then you can get an easy trade because your Q is going to come back up, and it really lets you close that range and get a trade. People often walk up to the creeps even if you have your Q buff on them, and it lets you get the reset on your ulti and get an easy trade essentially. Another good tip for Diana is that she does clear jungle camps really easily and without losing pretty much any health. So when you get level 6, level 7, you can easily queue over to the Raptor camp and just take them and lose very, very little health using your shield. So just keep that in mind, especially if you're getting pressured in lane or if you're just push the enemy laner out and you want to counter jungle them. Diana farms really, really fast. For runes on Diana, most of the time I run Magic Pen Reds, HP Scaling Yellows, Flat MR Blues, and AP Quints. You can switch out the Flat MR Blues for CDR scaling and the HP Scaling Yellows for Flat Armor depending on the matchups, but really you need some sort of early tankiness in the lane because it helps out. Since Diana is melee, she is going to take a lot of punishment, but overall just getting as much damage as possible. I do want to address the attack speed reg, which is something that people do, but when you get the Nashor's Tooth, having the attack speed reds is not going to make a big difference, and the Magic Pen is going to pay a lot better, so I definitely prefer Magic Pen Reds over attack speed. For Diana, I run 2190. Most notably is the spell weaving and offense, because you do get a lot of basic attacks with Diana when you build the Nashor's Tooth, so it's going to make a pretty big difference later in the game, and of course 9 defense for the early laning. For summoners on Diana, I always go flash TP. Diana has really rough early laning between 1 and 6, but TP allows you to go Doran's Ring, and then once you get pushed out of lane, you can back buy another Doran's or other items and TP back in a lane. It just really make sure you stay even on farm, and later in the game it helps a lot. With Diana, you don't always want to just straight up team fight until you get some items, and TP allows you to just be split pushing, and you can always join the fight to clean up or get a really good flank using TP. It really solves a lot of Diana's problems. For Diana's early skill order, you can start either Q or W. W mainly for melee matchups, Q for ranged, and then you want to be going Q, W, Q, W. You don't want to take E until level 8, and for maxing you do max Q, then W, then E of course. Just get the damage and the wave clear from Q, and then the shield from W is going to make a big difference in team fights later in the game. For the item build, since I have TP, I always start Doran's Ring, because you can always back and TP back in the lane with more items. After 1 to 2 Dorans, I instantly go for the Nashor's Tooth, because it was changed, giving more AP. It makes it a lot better of an item on Diana, and combined with the TP, it's going to make you a really strong split pusher to take down towers. After the Nashor's Tooth, I either go Abyssal or Zhonya's combined with the Sorcerer's Shoes. Abyssal if they have a lot of physical damage and you need to active. Abyssal if they have a lot of magic damage, obviously. And after that, you generally want to get Zhonya's even if you have Abyssal. Then you want to stack up on big AP items like Deathcap, Void Staff, or even Lichbane. Thanks for watching this guide for Diana. You can check out more content at lawclass.com.
Assassin. Your kit allows her to deal a substantial amount of consistent damage whilst remaining mobile. This is mainly because of her low cooldowns on all of her abilities. But in return, her mana costs are high, so be careful with spamming your abilities. Besides the high mana costs, another problem with Diana is she hasn't got the best laning phase. It really starts after she gets her ultimate. However, for jungle Diana, this is definitely not a problem, since her early clear speed is one of the fastest amongst the junglers. Ganking early, on the other hand, might be quite tricky, because Diana doesn't have any hard CC. Overall, Diana is a very strong champion with great outplay potential. If you enjoy a mobile champion with a lot of burst damage, Diana is definitely a champion for you. Diana's abilities. Moon Silverblade is a passive ability with 2 separate effects, granting Diana a permanent passive attack speed buff of 20%, and her auto attacks generate stacks on hit. At 2 stacks, Diana gains the on-hit effect, which deals damage in a point-blank area of effect. This makes Diana one of the fastest junglers in the game, because the area of effect helps clear the camps so quickly. Her first ability, Crescent Strike, is a curved skill shot that passes through enemies, leaving behind an effect called Moonlight, granting sight of them for 3 seconds. This is the go-to ability in Diana's kit. It consistently has low mana cost at only 55 mana, even if you level it up, as well as just a low cooldown. In lane, this ability can be used to clear the wave pretty much instantly. Well, after you get some AP, that is. As well as poke the enemy laner. However, hitting the curve might be tricky in the beginning, so give yourself some time to practice with this skill. Her second ability, Pale Cascade, is a self-targeting ability that shields Diana and summons 3 spheres that will detonate on collision with an enemy. If all 3 spheres detonate, the shield is reapplied and the duration is refreshed. This second shield stacks with the original shield. In lane, try not to use this ability a lot. It has a fairly high mana cost. In a jungle, however, this is an insanely strong ability. It pretty much means you take no damage at all. But in the jungle as well, try not to overuse this ability, especially if you don't have a blue buff, because you will run out of mana quickly. Her third ability, Moonfall, is a point-blank area of effect that draws in all nearby enemies to Diana's location and slows them for 2 seconds. This ability interrupts channeling abilities, such as Karthus ult and Katarina ult, but it can also stop the enemy from flashing away if you time it correctly. Her fourth ability, Luna Rush, is a single target dash that deals magic damage to the enemy on hit. If the enemy is afflicted by moonlight, the cooldown on this ability is refreshed. If you're standing next to the target when you cast this ability, it will put you on the other side of the target. This can be used to dodge skill shots, such as Ash Arrow or Locksold. You can also use this ability right as you cast Crescent Strike to jump to the target while Crescent Strike is still traveling to get the cooldown refresh. Leveling these abilities. On screen right now, you can see my leveling order for both mid and jungle. For jungle, I start with W and take a second point into it on level 3. This is for surviving the jungle better. The shield it offers plays a big role in the amount of health you have for the jungle. Also, I take a point in E on level 4. This is for ganking, since you can potentially stop a flash with it, or just slow the enemy to let your laner catch up. For mid lane, I start with Q. This offers lane poke as well as ranged farming. Seeing as how Diana is melee ranged, this is quite useful. I also don't take a second point into my W until I've maxed out my Q as far as I can. And generally, I only put a point in my E at around level 8. Exceptions for this are of course when you're laning against Katarina or another champion with a channel ability that you have to cancel. Then I'll take E at level 4. The runes. There are two different styles of rune pages I use for Diana. One for jungle and one for laning. Let's get into the jungle runes first. I go 9 attack speed marks, 9 armor seals, 9 flat AP glyphs and 3 flat AP quints, giving me a total of 26 AP, 9 armor and 15% attack speed. I go attack speed because of Diana's passive. The more attack speed you have, the faster those passive procs hit the jungle camps, the faster you can clear your jungle. I go armor seals because they reduce the damage taken by jungle camps significantly, and I take flat AP quints and glyphs to get higher starting AP. This helps you in clearing your jungle quicker, as well as taking less damage because of Diana's W, that shields her. All I do to get from jungle Diana runes to her laning runes is replace attack speed marks with magic pen marks, since you have no use for the attack speed in lane. It's better to go magic pen, so you have more damage with your Q poke. If you have them though, you should take hybrid pens on marks. These just offer more stats in general on Diana. The masteries. I go 21 in offense and 9 in defense. In offense, I take all the ways of increasing my damage, as well as getting the cooldown reduction and the dangerous game mastery. The dangerous game mastery gives you 5% of your missing health and mana back on kill or assist, meaning that it can very well save your life on champions that tend to dive in, such as Diana. The masteries currently visible are the jungle masteries. All you have to do to make these into lane masteries is take 2 points out of tough skin and put them into the recovery mastery. The item build. On screen right now you can see my item build for both mid and jungle. For jungle I start with a hunter's machete, 2 health potions and a warding trinket. At my first back I buy a trailblazers with an amplifying tome and maybe another health potion if I need it. Right after that I'm gonna go for the Mangus upgrade on my jungle item and buying some boots for speed. At this point sell your warding trinket for a sweeping lens, since you're gonna gank more and it's nice to know if you're standing on a ward or not. The first item I'm gonna go for is Zonia's. This gives you some armor, a lot of AP and invulnerability time. This invulnerability time can be used to negate damage or to just wait for your cooldowns. Right after Zonia's, build some Sork Shoes. It gives you extra movement speed and magic penetration, meaning more ganks and more damage. Right after that, go for your Death Cap. This will up your ability power by a lot. After you get your Death Cap, you either get Void Staff or Lich Bane. If they have more magic resist, you get Void Staff. If they don't have magic resist at all, just get your Lich Bane. And in the end, I sell my jungle item for an Athene's. I got Athene's because the 15% mana heal you get on kill or assist means you can sustain your mana better in the late game, which is very important since Diana is very mana hungry. When going mid lane, I start with a Doran's Ring, 2 health potions and a warding trinket. There are 2 routes to go for this build. If you're playing against AP, you go for Athene's first. If you're playing against AD, you skip the Athene's and go for Zonia's first. The AP build, I build Athene's into Sork Shoes, then when I have Sork Shoes, I sell my warding trinket for a sweeping lens since I'm gonna gank more since I have more movement speed. Then the item I'm gonna go for is Zonia's, Death Cap, then if they have magic resist, Void Staff, if they don't, Lich Bane. AD mid lane, I'm gonna go for Zonia's first item, buying more mana pots in the process, maybe a second Doran's Ring to get my mana sustain up. Then I'm gonna go for some Sork Shoes, since I'm gonna roam more, I'm gonna sell my warding trinket for a sweeping lens. Then I'm gonna build Death Cap, Void Staff, Lich Bane, and ending in Morellis Nomicon. Laning as Diana. When playing Diana in lane against a ranged opponent, play it safe and use your Q to poke and farm. Generally, you can hit your enemy along with the minions because of the curve in the skill shot. Auto-attacking a minion twice, then jumping on your enemy maximizes your damage and kill potential. When you play against another melee range champion, you can pretty much shove them out of lane, since you can win all the trades with your shield and you can use your passive to shove the lane out really quick. As soon as you hit level 6, it's time to completely take over. Try to hit your Q, then auto a minion twice, quickly jump in and get a cooldown refresh and burst your enemy. the jungle route. Starting off on the blue side of the map. We're gonna start with double golems here. That's if your bot lane doesn't want to do them. If your bot lane wants to do them, just start with a frog and just swap the jungle around. Then blue side becomes red side and red side becomes blue side for this video. Alright, I'm gonna take my W on level 1 to get the shield and reduce damage taken while still doing damage. And then Q level 2, get more clear speed, more damage. Right. I try to walk between my auto attacks because it basically means you take less damage. And if you take less damage, it's obviously good. Alright, on red buff it doesn't really work walking between your auto attacks because for some reason his auto attack animation is weird. And you can't really stall him from doing it. No, you can't really stall him from doing his auto attack animation, which I don't really see why, but you know, whatever. Level 3, I take a second point into my W, and then go to wolves. Using your W in the jungle early, especially, is really important. On the jungle route specifically, right here, I don't have AP glyphs. I only got them later. But if you have AP glyphs, you basically shouldn't take any damage. You can easily have 2 health potions left at the end of your clear, which is amazing, just to say the least. Like, you don't need any health potions to clear. So you could even start with a mana potion if you think that's needed. I don't think it's needed because I generally... Either you start with blue buff or you smite the blue buff, which gives you a lot of mana back. So you shouldn't really need to get those mana potions. You could save your money, of course, and don't buy any health potions at all. But then again, that's very risky, especially if you get invaded. Then having no health potions really sucks. Alright. Ending off on this jungle route with the frog here. I don't have any health potions left because I don't have any AP glyphs. And I survived barely. Again, as I said, if you have AP glyphs, this will go much, much easier. Alright, let's get into the jungle route for the other side of the map now. Starting with the frog here. I start auto-attacking it. If your bot lane has a melee range support actually, you can just let them tank like 1 or 2 hits. And those 1 or 2 hits can really just mean a lot of damage difference for you. You can tank the damage when you're with your shield up. But if they have like a Braum, you can just let Braum tank like 2 hits. He takes like no damage from it and can help you quite a lot. Since 2 hits generally saves you quite a lot of health. It can save you like a health potion, which is 35 gold for you. It's really worth it. Alright, as you can see here, I'm walking between my auto attacks to take less damage from his auto attack animation. Or his auto attacks, because his auto attack animation gets cancelled more. Alright, then going to wolves. Alright, I'm starting hitting it. And right as they want to hit me, I'm gonna use my shield. Just to ensure that I get both of my shields off correctly. Taking the minimum amount of damage I possibly can. Stacking them up like this, so my passive for sure hits all of them. And get a second point in my W here. Going on to Wraiths. I'm gonna probably start with queuing the Wraiths from a distance, so I can group them up. Yes, I group them up and then use my W so I hit everything, and then with my passive I clear every single mini Wraith. Going for this one last. Using my Q in between the auto attack, just to get that animation. Like, it takes some time in between your auto attacks hit, so if you can use your Q in that time, that's perfect. More efficient. Use my smite on the red buff to get the heal. That's actually it, yeah. If you smite the red buff, you get a health heal. If you smite a blue buff, you get a mana heal. If you smite the double golems, you get a buff that basically lets you stun on auto attacks, or the first hit on the turret really does a lot of damage. It cleaves through the shield instantly, which means this is really good for split pushing. And since Diana is a really good split pusher, you can really make use of this. Diana's a really good split pusher because of her passive, so try to make use of that buff. If you smite the Wraiths, you can get like a sort of oracles, which means that if you have that active and you run around the map, it will activate upon nearing on an enemy ward. So you can easily use that for ganks. If you're not sure if it's warded, just smite it and then walk to it. And if nothing pops up, you can easily just do the gank. And if something pops up, that means there's a ward. So you can clear it then. Thank you guys so much for watching my Diana guide. If you
First blood. Killing spree. Red team's turret has been destroyed. Killing spree. Blue team double kill. Blue team has slain the dragon. Team's turret has been destroyed. Shut down. Killing spree. Team's turret has been destroyed.